This is all about not missing that window of opportunity.
And I got there really by the grace of God.
When it's something you truly care about, you're willing to cut away some of those distractions. A decision is saying no other option anymore but this one.
So I got laid off. We were not expecting that. And so I took this job, and people in my life were like, well, why are you doing that? And I was like, I just feel like if I do this for long enough, I'm going to meet somebody. It didn't make sense for any reason financially. It wasn't on paper worth my time or worth the money I was getting.
What separates the people who stay steady under the pressure of a job like this from the ones who kind of quietly burn out?
When your window of opportunity opens, will you be ready?
All right, y'all. Welcome to the Catch Window podcast. For those people who are new to the channel, new to the podcast, the Catch Window's all about seizing opportunity. If you're familiar with American football, a receiver, tight end, or running back, anytime we catch a pass, the catch window oftentimes refer to our ability to make a play on the ball, but it's also an opportunity to seize on the ball, right? Whether it's for a touchdown, whether it's for a big gain. So this podcast is all about in the business world, there are people who have this catch window, whether it's the opportunity to seize capital or acquire a business partner or scale business in some way. This is all about not missing that window of opportunity. And, we talk with people here who have seized that opportunity. And our goal here is for the listeners and viewers out there to get some value from these conversations so you can learn how to, when these windows of opportunities open, you'll know how to seize them and how to make sure you don't miss them. So without further ado, Dylan, you mind telling us, just a little bit about you, who you are, and your background?
What's up, man? It's good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Heck
My
yeah.
name's Dylan Raymond, and I've done a lot of random stuff, but most recently I'm a flight operations coordinator at a small operator out in Colorado and Denver. Um, and I got there really by the grace of God. My catch window was kind of a God thing. So we'll talk
Heck
about
yeah.
that a little bit. And
Yeah.
I'm not as much into the fitness, healthy eating side, but I try to do my best. I try, but uh, yeah, it's a little bit about me. Went to school at GCU, Grand Canyon University, and then started in management. Started at an expert network firm with management consultant clients, and then wanted to jump into the aviation world. Got a private pilot's license, and then got too expensive and started slowing down there. But yeah, a little background there, and thanks again for having me on, man.
Heck yeah. We're happy to have you, man. Happy to learn a little bit about your story and it'll definitely, it's a blessing people are listening. But first thing I kind of want to start with, man, I know you're in flight operations. Like, I guess what separates the people who stay, steady under the pressure of a job like this from the ones who kind of quietly burn out, even if, they're both highly competent, and highly successful people?
I think it comes down to passion, and I think
Yeah.
you got to kind of be a little bit of a psycho to be in flight operations or do something like that. You kind of have to like chaos a little bit, um, and like not being bored. And I think a lot of people fit that bill, but yeah, I think it's always liking what you do, and if you can love what you do, it's even better. That's kind of the ticket for me. So
100%, man. I love that. I love that. I think, yeah, I think that's missed out, on most people who, when they choose a career these days, I think we all look for, obviously, we know we got to pay the bills, make money. And I think, that's important. But I think oftentimes people end up getting stuck doing stuff they truly hate because they forget that part. There is a world where
yeah,
both things can kind of coexist, right? Where you can be doing the things that you enjoy and that you're passionate about. And that passion comes out of you and creates opportunity for you to make more money, gain capital, whatever that kind of looks like, man. So no, I
yeah,
love that. I think that's awesome. Do you think
yeah.
identity or discipline or even self-control kind of plays a part in that as well?
Yeah, I think yeah, I think discipline's definitely important. In high school and in college, I loved socializing, loved partying, loved doing all the stuff. Um, and, still like to have fun. But, in the aviation world, you can't, there's, strict rules, drug tests. Um, you know, you got to be on top of your game at all times. And I think if you love something enough, you kind of clean your act up a little bit and you go after what you love. And then you also, you get older, you get married or you don't get married, and you just start to uh, your priorities just start to change a little bit, and you realize the the benefit of hard work and chasing what you really like to do and love to do, and finding a way to intersect providing for yourself and your family and kind of having fun while you're doing it. So, um, but yeah, discipline plays a huge part in anything you do, really, but especially professionally. I think that you won't succeed at a level that you want to if you don't have at least a basic fundamental level of discipline that can that's above well, not that's above everybody else, but that's yeah, you need to have discipline. I didn't say that very well, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I thought that was great, man. And I think you touched on something that's super powerful there, and you kind of said it when you first started, kind of talking. When it's something you truly care about, you're willing to cut away some of those distractions, some things that will keep you from it in order to get there. I call that the difference between a choice and a decision, right? A choice
Yes.
is saying, I have many options that I'm weighing. A decision is saying no other option anymore but this one. And I think when you make a decision, I think that eliminates a lot of distractions when you in your head decide there's no other option but this. And I think that's the power of a decision. I think discipline has a lot to do with that. I mean, a lot of like even that Latin root, I believe it's Latin. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's Latin. Like dis means to cut away, right? Discipline to cut away all action, right? That is contrary to what's good for you, and a decision is to cut away all options, right? That are contrary to what you're wanting. So I think that plays such a role, whether it's it's catch window podcast, right? So whether it's sports, athletes who can compete at the highest level, whether it's my background, right? Health, fitness, coach, consulting, people who want to achieve and want to be the healthiest, feel the best, have the best focus, right? They have to make a lot of decisions. I probably shouldn't have this extra glass of wine tonight, right? I probably should turn my phone off, go to bed at a decent time, right? There's little decisions that we make that will allow us to propel ourselves forward, not miss this window of opportunity. And I think it's no different than what you're saying. So I love that. I love that, man. And kind of back to what you do, when it comes to obviously, I'm sure with a job like this, there's a lot of high pressure moments. There's a lot of crucial moments, decisions you're having to kind of make with what you're doing with passengers, with the aircraft. I guess what would you say is the difference between like your operational analysis, right? And then, as a believer, as a Christian guy, spiritual discernment. Like how do those two play together in your world?
Yeah, I think the word for me is integrity, because integrity is such a great thing to have in the workplace, and it will benefit you even if you don't have a set of values like Christianity. If you want to go somewhere in the workplace, integrity will typically get you there. So selfishly, like if you want to selfishly climb, um, if you have integrity, you'll do that. But then if you have the set of values that the Bible gives us and that um, Christianity gives us, you're already hopefully you're already doing that. Hopefully you already want to act with integrity, and so it's maybe it's not natural because it's hard to do the right thing all the time, and especially when no one's watching. And I fail at that all the time. But if your intent is to do that all the time, then you'll find yourself doing it more often than not. And um, yeah, operationally with like clients or aircraft owners or charter guests, it's um, yeah. I mean, we're a company that prioritizes the owner, so um, it's a little bit different from like just a charter company.
Mhm.
Um, So if an owner wants an aircraft and the charter guests are, on the tarmac, they're about to get on the plane, and an owner says, "Hey, I want my plane back." Like we have to go out there and say, "Hey, sorry, man. I know you paid like a frick ton of money for this trip to Cabo, but you're not going. The owner wants this plane back." And I haven't run into that yet, which is good. But that could happen, and I'm sure when or if that happens, that'd be an interesting de-escalation with those charter guests. But um, yeah, integrity is the word for me, man. I try to do best I can, but um, yeah. I wanted to ask you a question, man, if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
You're like a real deal entrepreneur, man. You it's a scary thing. Like I talk to people who are doing stuff like what you're doing. And the W-2 job is cozy, man. Like you get the stable paycheck and you get the health insurance, and
Yeah.
you can kind of be comfortable in that. And that's something that I'm trying to figure out myself. Like, how do what made you take the leap into what you're doing? I mean, you've been doing it for a while, but
Mhm.
you've been really successful doing it, especially recently. So how did you, when did you start? Um, and did you know that you would be here now? And, how did you get to the point where you feel comfortable, or are you comfortable with, the nature of what entrepreneurship is, man?
Yeah, yeah. Wow, what a great question. Turning it on the podcast host. I love that. No, it's awesome. What a great question. I mean, it's honestly such a good question for what this podcast is all about, right? Like I said, whether it's finance, whether it's your world, whatever form of business, I think questions like this need to be asked, and I think the responses are so crucial. So for me, it kind of goes back to the word what you're saying. I was actually going to talk about that, that word integrity. And you say, hey, I really want to be integral. So it's something that I really focus on. I learned from a great teacher, and I love his stuff. His name's Myron Golden, and he talks about this a lot, where your attention goes, your intention follows. So it's what we set our minds on, it's what we focus on, where we'll start to set our intentions on, and whether that's improving, whether that's getting better, and that's where getting better, improving kind of starts. And I see it no different in business, right? If all I care about is just I want a bunch of money, and everything I'm thinking about is just myself and what I want, I'm going to find myself failing. And I believe, I'm not knocking every entrepreneur, but I believe for the most part, why entrepreneurship does not work, or why it won't work for most, is most people go into kind of thinking about what they want, right? I mean, and it's not bad to obviously want money, and we need money to survive in this world, right? It's not bad to want stuff for yourself, but entrepreneurship, the core principle and foundation of it is, what can I do for someone else? The most successful entrepreneur, I don't care how good or evil they are, right? They understand, even if they hate people, they understand I must find something that can help someone in order for whatever my business is to succeed. So whether that's in health, wealth, or relationships, it's finding something that will solve a problem for someone at a deeper level, to where they are compelled to want to pay you for that solution or for that help, right? And it's not always something super deep, right? Like Coca-Cola sells a soda, right? Like it's not necessarily that to be life changing, right? But if I'm thirsty, I'm gonna get myself a drink. So here's the drink, right? So it's something, it's all about that, understanding that core principle of like, one, I'm in this to solve someone's problem, right? And for me, the problem I solve is, whether it's, I worked with doctors, I work with teachers, I work with moms, I work with CEOs, I work with VPs. And my goal is, if you're looking to elevate your health, if you're looking to not wake up with a brain fog, and spend most of your day moody and tired, and you hate seeing the cortisol belly, you hate not being able to fit into those old suits or those old clothes you used to be able to wear. I can solve that for you, and I can solve it in a way to where this problem never comes back. And that's been
Wow.
my obsession. You have to obsess over people's problems in entrepreneurship. So to answer your question, that is why I've been able to sustain it. That's where a lot of the successes come from, because I figured that out. And I'm not saying it's easy to figure out. Like I said, we all get into it. This is me included, thinking about, man, I can be able to make all this money and have no boss and just travel and all these
Yeah.
things. But then you realize that at the crux of it, it is all about just being able to solve someone's problem at a really, really deep level, and being able to speak it and communicate it in their language. So I would say, if you do that, that is where the success lies. I don't care who you are, what color you are, what tall, short, woman, man. If you can find a problem that people struggle with, like a very, very painful problem,
Yeah.
and you can create a solution around that problem, you're going to succeed. And I think that's the key to entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And I think like what I've, and I'm not a client of yours, and maybe I should be, because I could definitely get need some help in that area. But what I think impressed me the most about what you're doing is you're working with all these super busy people. And a lot of these people just don't have the time. And there's always time, right? But you just have to kind of carve it out. But these folks that you're working with, I mean, they're moms do not have time. I mean, I mean, you're kind of feeling that a little bit. Your boy's the
Yeah.
cutest thing on earth. Like, your life has changed like crazy. But like these CEOs, these VPs, these doctors, whoever you're working with, they're working long hours, and they're
Mhm.
responsible for a lot. And to squeeze in something that, they're not typically used to, and you make it easy for them to do that. I think that is what impresses me the most about what you're doing. Cause, um, yeah, I have a more open schedule than a lot of those folks. And I find myself saying, well, I never have time. And the truth is you do have time, and, you just gotta squeeze it in. I think you do a good job of carving into people's time windows and getting results for them. So I think that's really cool, man.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I love that. And on the top of that, I might as well give you and a little bit, and all the viewers, a little bit of my secret sauce, right?
There you go.
it's all about the focus, right? If we focus on, I need to work out, I need to eat better, I need to do all these things, we're never going to do it. That's a goal oriented mindset, and goal oriented mindsets are setting us up to fail. But if we become more objective driven, whereas in, I want to be this person, and this is what this kind of person does, we'll find it a lot easier to transform ourselves. It's all about where you shift
Yeah.
your focus to. It's all about your focus. So, and I'll give you an example, right? If I say, man, I really wish I wasn't fat. Man,
Yeah.
I know I need to work out. I'm probably never going to do it. Right. But if I
Yeah.
go, man, I have 30 minutes when I wake up at, I wake up at 6 a.m. I have to start like getting ready for work at like, 7:30. So let's say, okay, I get up, have a little bit of time to kind of, you know, wake myself up, drink a little bit of water, whatever, have maybe a little small snack. And I have like 30 minutes. It's just 30 minutes, but I have 30 minutes to do something for my health, whether it's walk, lift some weights, that's my time. That's my 30 minutes. I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes and I'm just going to start. I don't care what it looks like. I'm just going to do what I know I can do. That person, right? Let's say those two people, who's more likely to actually to be the one who gets in better shape and starts to get healthier, right? It's going to be the
Yeah.
person who says, I got 30 minutes. Let me set a timer. And this is my objective. I'm going to take it one day at a time and I'm just going to do this. And I'm using health and fitness as an example, but this is just life, right? This is,
Yeah.
if you're a person who's Christian or religious, right? Whether it's you want to grow in your faith, if you want to grow in your wealth, right? It's just being able to set one simple objective and do it consistently enough to reap the benefits of doing that thing. And that's all it is. I like to say, and in what I do, a lot of people think health and fitness or whatever they're wanting to do is they're having to add more to their plate. I say you're not, I say true objective driven mentality or true growth is when you're not needing to add more to your plate. You're just expanding your plate.
Yeah.
Just like your catch window, right? You're just expanding that window. You're expanding your ability, you're expanding who you are. And when you start to grow as a person, you're able to do more. Like because you are more of a person. You've grown
Yeah.
in whatever area you wanted to grow in. And because you've grown, you can do more. And because you can do more, you can then have more. And that's where the results come in, whether it's health and fitness, whether it's wealth or whatever that, the case may be.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think a lot of that is just surrounding yourself by people that are smarter than you too. That's what I've always
Mhm.
tried to do too. And I think that that's also a service provide is you provide is that you have this area in which you are a true expert in. And a lot of these people who are your clients are not a true expert in the area that you are. And so you add this, um, and it makes it easier for them because you advise them and they don't have to find and search for all these things. And like for me, like with this is a little bit of a finance show, right? I mean, um, with personal finance and investment, like I got a buddy out in South Carolina who's an investment analyst, and he's just a brilliant guy. He just knows, he knows where to invest and when to invest and all the things. And me being surrounded by him has grown that piece of my personal life into something that I wouldn't have been able to do by myself. Um, and then even, my wife, she's a teacher, just her patience level versus my patience level has grown me into something that, I'm a lot better now than I was a couple of years ago. So, but yeah, surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you, I think is like if I've gotten any good professional advice, it's like that's it. It's like someone once told me your goal is to be the dumbest person in the room. Because if you're the dumbest person in the room, like then you're gonna learn a hell of a lot in that room because everyone's gonna give you something that you can hold on to. So yeah, man, I think that's the ticket too, for sure.
Man, that's good. I love that. I love that. That's so awesome. And I think it speaks to something that most people struggle with. And most people aren't even aware that's what's really holding them back. And the word for that is humility, right? It takes humility
Yeah.
to be able to put yourself in a position like that where where you are the dumbest in the room, right?
Yeah.
And that is where true learning begins, right? I mean, it's just like what you're saying, right? There's a level of awareness you must have with your own shortcomings and problems to put yourself in a position like that to really learn and grow. Man, I just in your field or just honestly for anyone out there hearing this, how do you do that? Like what is a good practice you do to remain humble, anchored in Christ and kind of shield off the ego in order for you to really grow?
I I think my wife is the biggest helper in that area, keeping me grounded and keeping my pride in check, I think is so she helps me a lot with that. But outside of, the home and in the workplace, I think it's honestly really easy because I'm newer to this world kind of. And so I feel like, I have tons to learn, and I do. And like, I don't, because I'm so new to this world, it's pretty easy to look around and see, all these smart guys and gals around me and learn a lot from them because that's just kind of what the reality is right now. I think where it will be challenging is like 10, 15, 20 years later in my career when I feel like I start to have it and I feel like I'm kind of the man or whatever it is. Like that's when I think, I'll need to go out and actually look for people that I can learn from um and stay humble. But for now, it's pretty easy because everywhere I look, I'm learning stuff from people all over the place, and I think it's just because I'm so new to the industry I'm in. But yeah,
I love that, man. And you think, I like to that point of like as you grow and as you get more experience in this, this area, yeah, I guess it's so easy to get tied to performance metrics and just your execution in your job. Uh, I guess this is a little bit more forward speaking or future speaking. When you do get to that level, I mean, I guess the answer might be in what you already said, but I guess how will you stay grounded in that? When I guess the challenge where ego can kind of creep in, how do you manage it, or how do you feel like you will manage that?
yeah, I think it's just keeping the same attitude that you had when you first started. Like I'm just here to learn, and I'm here to grow. And if you stop, you know, having an intentional mindset of learning and growth, you'll kind of stagnate and I think you naturally become I think people that stop learning and growing become more arrogant, whether they know it or not, just because, they think they know enough to just keep rolling with whatever they're doing, whatever that may be. Um, and I think just and as far as like actual action items to do that, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not quite there yet, but I think um I just want to try. I know my goal is to try to wake up and continuously learn and grow. And I think when I stop doing that, I'll be in trouble. And when I do, I don't know if and when I do that, I don't know how I'll approach that or tools to go out and stay in that mindset. So I'm looking forward to that when it comes. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of good advice there, man, honestly. But
No, no. Hey, oh, I'll tell you what, your advice is in how you talk, man. I mean, saying "I don't know," I think is the best advice you can give anybody. I think in this world, especially in the business world, we think we have to always wear this image of perfection and always have to have an answer. And the truth is, you don't. And the truth is, sometimes it's good to not have an answer, right? I mean, when you're able to really start seeking and learning and growing, is to first admit that you don't have the answer. And I think that's a powerful way to stay in a place, regardless of how much you grow and regardless of how much success you have, is to always stay humble. I think that's the way, right? Is to be able
yeah,
to that and to be able to understand that you don't always have the answer. And there's always someone who knows more in some way, shape, or form. One way I do it is I always say it's good to have a coach in some way, shape, or form. I'm not always saying a coach you pay for.
yeah,
A coach could be someone you listen to on YouTube. It could be someone's books you like to read, but some form of learning or growth, just as you said, to where it's such a good humble reminder of like, okay, someone's still pouring into me. I'm not the guy who knows it all. I'll never be the guy who knows it all. I'm always looking to learn and grow. And it's twofold, right? It's twofold. Obviously, staying humble is it's you're probably gonna be a lot more likable, than
yeah,
being the
yeah,
stuck up, egotistical guy. But also, just like we've been saying, it's where true success lies. Like the most successful are the ones who are always learning. And that's why,
yeah,
because there's always something to be learned or understood. There's always a way to, even the things you are good at and the things you do know, there's always a way to fine tune them and improve them. So I think that's, it's such an important reminder. And I think it is a solution to, what you and what all of us are really looking for when we, get into these situations for sure, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Heck yeah. But man, I think about just the business world is so competitive, regardless of whatever form of business you're in. Like I said, regardless if it's wealth management, if it's aviation, if it's, you know, finance, whatever it is, man. And I think, and kind of like we're talking about ego and things of that nature, it's so easy to start believing lies, is what I would call them, lies about who you are or what really matters. Man,
Yeah.
what are some of the lies you feel like kind of show up in your industry? And then how do you deal with those lies? How do you address them and how do you prevent them from, impacting your own life?
Um, That's a good question. I don't know. Part of the reason I really love aviation, I can talk about the consulting world all day and lies because I think those two things go together pretty good. But that was a good question because, like, aviation, at least so far, and maybe I'm just so green that I'm so optimistic and I just don't see anything wrong with it. But it's just so structured that there's not a whole lot of room for BS, really.
Mhm,
Um, you just kind of go, whatever your role is, you show up and you do your job according to a set of stringent and long, lengthy regulations, and then you go home for the most part. I mean, if you're in charter sales or aircraft sales, then there's some nuance in salesmanship, and I love the sales world, and there's nuance there. But I'd want to kind of talk a little bit about consulting, and there are a lot of lies in consulting. There are a lot of simple solutions that can be solved. This is a terrible thing to say because who knows, but there's a lot of simple solutions that can be solved without a consulting firm.
mhm,
And the the consulting business model is in business because people don't know how to solve their own problems, or they don't know where to look to solve their
mm,
own problems. And companies spend hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars on a contract with a consulting firm to come in and essentially fire about 30 to 50% of their employees and then optimize their software or their workflows and then leave. And, there are tools and resources out on the internet or through other people that cost a lot less than hiring a firm that can solve a lot of those problems for you. And I think, like you said, the word lies, and it was hard for me to look at aviation and see some of that. And it's probably just because I'm so new. But in the consulting world, I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of people that are really great wordsmiths and really great persuaders and can make you feel like you need something or feel like something isn't efficient enough. And sometimes it is. And, most of the time it is. But, they're trying to sell you that they're the solution. And the solution is most of the time in front of you. And there's an easier, cheaper, more efficient way to solve it. Um, so I'm not trying to knock on consultants. I know that there are a lot of very successful consultants, and they're important because they really do help streamline a lot of the business world. But there are definitely times where it's a little bit facetious. It's not super necessary, or there's a little bit of lying in there for sure. So, um, but yeah. So I didn't really touch aviation, but I could
No, no,
talk
I
about
love it.
people.
But and it actually brings out the ultimate point in which I kinda wanted to be brought to the forefront for people to understand here. The reason why you felt like there wasn't much of room in there for error or for lies or for well, for lack of a better word, we'll say for human s or fleshly things to get in there is you said a word called structure. And that's a
Yeah,
huge part of what makes the most successful athlete, makes the most successful business person. It's why people succeed with what I do when I'm helping them and coaching them through,
yeah,
their health and fitness struggle. It's not will. You don't need more willpower. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more cat posters and more David Goggins videos, right? What you need is a simple structure that works for you, and
yeah,
it's what allows for no BS, for no errors, and it's what creates success in a place just like what you said, where there's not much room for lies and errors to really get in there. I think it's such a crucial part to success in any world. I mean, just like integrity, if you're looking to succeed in whatever you're doing, man. I guess like, and you mentioned kind of consulting. I want to kind of dip back into that, man. In your words, like, do you feel like not having integrity, obviously, in some of these areas, like, do you feel like it costs a lot of businesses? It costs people when they don't have integrity in these areas?
I think sometimes I'm sure it does, but I think sometimes it's just ignorance, and it's not even like stupidity really. Like people just don't know what's happening. Like
Mhm,
one of the best things you can have for a business is just a good accountant,
mhm,
because sometimes or just to understand that yourself, because you just don't know where your money's going a lot of times. Like most
mhm,
of the time, a lot of the time when I was working with some of these clients, it was like they just didn't know where the money was going. And, just a good accountant, or like you said, just structure and, on time reporting with, financials, would have helped them a lot, and that would have fixed their whole problem. Um, but I'm sorry, what was the question again? I kind of got off on a
No, that was
my
great.
bad.
Uh, I I think the reason why you got off because you pivoted. Like the bigger problem you felt like was ignorance over integrity. But my question
Yeah,
was, where there is a lack of integrity, do you feel like that costs, or how much do you feel like that costs? These people and businesses of that sort.
I feel like it costs a lot, and I think that a successful business, whether it be small or huge, most of the time has integrity, and that's why they're successful. If you don't, I think it's really hard. I think it's really hard to succeed. If I guess if you're big enough, like you see it with a lot of these big companies. I don't want to shout out, Disney, but Disney is one in my mind that's like, you know, geez Louise, who knows what's going on there? But they're big enough to maybe mitigate some of that. But
Mhm.
most successful businesses, they have to have integrity, right? Because people aren't going to trust their product or service unless they know what they're buying into. They know um, what they're about. So yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, integrity's super important.
So true, man. I love that. That's so good, man. And speaking of integrity, I feel like when you do have it, like the one who's patient endures, last till the end, right? This is a huge biblical principle, and I think it's the same in business. It's the ones that don't quit. It's the ones who keep going. It's the ones who keep doing things right when they feel like they can shortcut it, when they feel like they can do something different. They stick on that path because they understand at the end of it what they're looking for is there. Man, do you feel like, or I guess like I know you mentioned a little bit of God working in what you're doing now, but when it comes to what you're doing now, do you feel like there was like a window of opportunity or decision you made that completely changed your trajectory, with what you're doing right now?
Oh yeah, man. I was kind of waiting to talk about this because this is what I'm about to say is like the coolest proof of God's hand in your life. I think. So I got laid off from my consulting job in, I think it was January of 24. Yeah, it was January of 24. And they were just doing force reduction. My boss got laid off. I got laid off. Um, and it was shocking. Like we were not expecting that. We were doing some pretty good work and we thought our team was great. But yeah, my boss and I got laid off. And so then I'm like, oh my gosh, like I got to go get another job. Like, what am I going to do? Um, and so I was searching, and that's actually when I came out to Dallas and saw you last time I saw you was, I was out there for an interview with this insurance company. I was just interviewing everywhere at the time, just trying to find another job. And, then I kind of realized, man, like I really always wanted to fly airplanes. Like that's been what I want to do, but it just seemed so inaccessible financially or really just financially. It's just so expensive to train yourself to go and do that thing. Um, and I talked about it with my wife and we just jumped into it. Um, we spent a lot of money doing my training and, there were some roadblocks along the way that kind of hurt the trajectory of what I want to do. I wanted to fly for a commercial airline. I ended up only getting a private pilot's license and spent a bunch of money doing it. And, I don't love the word quit, but I did kind of quit because I got to a point financially where I didn't feel comfortable putting my wife and I through what we were going through for much longer. So I just was like, all right, I'm going to go back to work and I'm going to hope to stay in aviation. And I interviewed for this job at JetLinks, and it was a part time client relations job. All you did was you greet clients as they come in, as they arrive on these jets, and then as they depart, these charter charter guests. And it was so part time. Like I'm talking like 3 hours, maybe every 2 weeks. And I was doing something else, full time and waiting tables or, trying to make ends meet in other ways. But I really wanted this aviation thing to work. And so I took this job, and this job was on the south side of Denver. I live in northern Colorado. So the commute was an hour. It is an hour and 20 minutes, a
Wow.
one way for 3 hours of work, and then an hour and 20 minutes back for
Woo!
maybe like 3 hours every 2 weeks or maybe 3 hours a week. And people in my life were like, "Well, why are you doing that? Like, that doesn't seem like you're not making money at that point. You're burning money on gas. You're putting miles on your car." And I was like, "I just feel like if I do this for long enough, I'm gonna meet somebody and, I'm gonna talk to them and hopefully maybe they have a job for me. Maybe they have a full-time job for me." And sure enough, like, not even a couple weeks later, that's exactly what happened. There was a guy, his name's Tyler, and he came in, to my boss's office and was, like, kinda grumbling a little bit. He was like, "Man, I gotta hire another flight ops guy, and, we're bummed that we have to do that again in Q1 of '26, like, we were hoping we could hold on to one." And my boss, and we had not worked together for more than 10 hours, man. She was like, "You should look at Dylan." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, that would be amazing." And so Tyler and I started talking, but she stuck her neck out on the line for me, and she barely knew me. I had no direct flight ops experience, like, nothing that would qualify me for this job. And sure enough, 3 months later, we go through the whole interview process, and I got this job about a couple weeks ago. And if I wouldn't have taken this part-time job that, you know, was so part-time and didn't make sense for any reason. Financially, it wasn't on paper worth my time or worth the money I was getting. I would not have the job that I have right now. And and that was a God thing. I mean, that that doesn't make sense. For my boss to stick her neck out like that, it didn't make sense. I didn't have experience. I was not qualified on paper for this role. And God put her in my life, and God put that job in my life to help me move forward. And honestly, um, it gave me so much encouragement, and it kind of brought back my confidence again, because I think the past couple years were tough doing the flight school thing and not having a full time job and trying to figure out what we were trying to figure out. So that is like my catch window. My catch window was like taking that job that didn't make sense and kind of trusting in the Lord and betting on myself a little bit that I can find something down here. I can stay in aviation. This is what I want to do. Um and God gave that to me, and my boss, she was nice enough to stick her neck out for me. And um yeah, that's my story of like kind of how I ended up here. Is some people would call it like dumb luck, but it truly was God's grace that I have this new job. So, um, just pretty crazy stuff. I just can't believe it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man. Yeah, yeah. Hey, faithful endure to the end, right? I mean, there is rewards, I think, earthly and heavenly, and exercise in faith. Faith without works is dead, right? It's easy to sit there and say, I prayed about it, and that's enough. It's one thing to say I'm gonna drive an hour and 20 minutes both ways for 3 hours of work a
it's,
week. I
it's
mean,
so
talk about
stupid.
faith,
Yeah,
right? Talk about faith, right? And others
yeah,
don't see it. Others may not have the vision for it, but that's what faith is all about, right? Is you being able to see it and have the vision for it and sticking it out until what you wanted came. Oh man, I think that's so powerful. And in this world, specifically, we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about business. I think that is such a huge part of what separates the ones who succeed from the ones who don't, is that level of faith, of that level of I trust, I believe, and in your own abilities too. People miss that part too. Yes, of course, trust, have faith, follow God, believe that God can make a way, an opportunity, but have faith in yourself, have confidence in yourself and what you can do. I think a large part of that, a lot of it ties back to integrity, right? Like confidence, like to confide in yourself means to trust yourself. And I don't think you can trust yourself if you're always telling yourself lies, right? I love this saying. They say every lie that you've ever told, you're the only one who's heard every single one of them, right? So if you're
yeah,
and for those people out here listening to this, if you're so acclimated to lying to yourself, saying you're going to do something and not doing it, saying you're going to go for this thing or do this thing and not doing with it, that's what's stifling your confidence. That's what's keeping you stuck. That's what's keeping you from seizing that window of opportunity. Stop lying to yourself. Start little, start small, and start building your confidence up and put your faith in it. Right. And stick with it and endure to the end. And you might have a story like Dylan here. So, but man, that's awesome. That's encouraging. That's really amazing, man. No, I just love hearing that. I think that's the stuff that encourages people and gets people off their butts and get people moving. And gives them a little bit of courage to keep going, man. And talk about courage to people, man. Think about you in college.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
what would you say to that, to you, college you, right? Looking at where you're at right now, what would you tell him?
I would say I would say keep having fun, honestly, but I would just say, hey, maybe be a little bit more, you know, chill out a little bit, but but keep having fun because I mean, I think most people like look back, or hopefully most people look back on college like, oh man, those were the days, like people, and even high school. Like high school was so fun, um, too, and those were the days, and they are the days. But today is the day too, man. You can keep having fun and um, have the same kind of I hate this saying because it sounds so weird to me, but, like, the zest for life. I don't like when peop I think it's kind of a weird thing to say, but, like, that's kind of the only words I have is, like, in high school and in college, you were so stoked on life. You're so stoked to go out with your friends on Friday night. You were so stoked to, um like, I went to GCU, you're so stoked to go to chapel with your friends or have a coffee in the morning or just do stuff with your friends. You were even stoked to go to some classes because you knew that your friend, was that you really liked was in there and you don't really get to see him that often. Like you can yeah, I mean, those were the days, but today's the day too, man. Like you still have a heck of a lot of fun and um I think if you have fun, you're so much more likely to be successful because if you start like kind of giving into the mundaneness of the day-to-day life and life is mundane, man. Like the days do run together and work at times can run together, but if you can find a way to just have a little bit of fun or do something maybe that you don't do not every day, but at least like maybe once a month or um I think I think you'll be a much more fun person to be around and I think that you'll be a more successful person in your career and your personal life just by trying to keep having fun.
I love that, man. I love that. Is there anything you would tell him to pursue harder?
Yeah, I think well, it's hard because I didn't I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. Like I kind of knew that I wanted to be in sales um in whatever industry that brought, but something to pursue harder. I mean, I was in esports in college and I loved doing that. I put a lot of my time into that. Um, oh my gosh, and that was a whole lot of fun. We built a Valorant program at GCU. Valorant's like do you know what Valorant is? It's like a first person shooter esport game. It's kind of like Counter
Oh,
Strike.
wow.
Um, so we built that up over there and, me and a couple other people worked really hard at that. But I couldn't really say, could I pursue one more thing? I didn't really know that I wanted to be in aviation. Or I didn't think it was possible really for me, so, I mean, maybe say I wish before college I would have pursued aviation, but I just didn't know, so it's hard to say, like, "Oh, I wish, college me would have pursued aviation." I just didn't really know, so if I knew, that'd have been cool, but, no, I don't think so. I think I don't have a whole lot of regret. I tried to work hard in the things I was doing at the time, and I think I look back and I think that I definitely could have worked harder in certain moments, but I think when I look at the whole picture top down, I'm pretty grateful and stoked for my college and high school years and um, made a crap ton of mistakes, but had a lot of fun and learned from everything I did. So I don't think I'd change anything.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I think the key word is always learn. Always learn. There's always a lesson to
Yeah.
be learned. You learn from the successes, you learn from the failures, and I'll say you learn even more from the failures than you do the successes, right? So, no, I love that, man. Well,
Hey,
great.
can I ask the same question to you real quick?
Yeah,
I know we're
yeah.
kind of like what, in college and high school, what did you look back and do you wish you would have pursued something a little harder or are you kind of pretty stoked with, your experience and, what you learned and what you did?
Yeah, I share a very similar perspective to you. It's like, on one hand, it's like, yeah, you could say that, of course, right? Like, I always say I regret never trying to play baseball, right? So it's like, okay, what could have come of that, whatever. But on the other hand, I agree with you, right? I mean, like, you worked hard at the things that you were doing. Like, it was like I wasn't slouching. Like, I was giving everything I had. And I think there's so much you learn through experiences. That's why it's just best just to start, like, whether it's fitness, whether it's work, like, work that inconvenient job, for a summer, for a year, right? Just start
Yeah.
because the experience is where you start to learn so much about what you want, a lot about yourself, like what you want or you're passionate about, what skills you have, where you can solve people's problems. And I think it grows you as a business person, but also just generally as a person. So I kind of agree with you. It's like, yeah, there are things I wish I would have tried, maybe, a few things here and there. But for the most part, life happens, right? And I think it's important to stop letting life happen to you and start looking at your life, looking at the past of it, take what you can from those past experiences to further improve and to start living life as you move forward instead of just letting it happen. So I would agree with you. I definitely think I would say no, like it's everything that needed to happen. Maybe in the moment, you question some things, you have some hard times, but I mean, they made me who I am today. And as I continue to grow and learn, I'm gonna keep getting better and better, and I'll just keep looking back and probably saying the same thing.
Yeah. Dude, I kinda changed my mind. I have one big regret that I talk about. I talk about it all the time with my wife, man. So you were a football player, and
Yep.
you are much bigger, stronger, faster, athletic than I am, but I love football, man. I love football. I played it my freshman year of high school, and I was a shrimp. If someone's watching this and we went to high school together, you know how small and frail I was, but I got a concussion my freshman year of high school, and I just got beat up so bad, dude. I was so small. So the varsity guys were just killing me. And I wanted to give up, but I loved it. And my mom was kind of like, dude, you're getting your ass kicked, man. So excuse my language. Like, but you should probably think about not doing this next year. And then eventually, like, we kind of decided, like, I'm not going to play football going forward. That is my biggest regret, man, because I ended up growing a little bit and
Yeah.
I'm getting sort of athletic. I wouldn't say that I'm like super athletic, but um, I just wish I would have played more football in high school because tackle football is like the best thing in the world, man. Like
I agree.
that sport teaches you so much about
Oh, yeah.
life and adversity and those conditioning days, dude, those 2-a-days,
Dude,
like
yes.
that's the real deal. That's good life experience. And then
So true.
the to kind of switch gears and then I'll stop talking. But one more thing I'd say is if there's any like 16-year-old people watching this right now, if you have an In-N-Out burger near you, make that your first job because that was my first job, and I got my first consulting job out of college because the
Wow.
hiring manager looked at my resume, and out of all the stuff I did in college and all the jobs I had after that, he didn't look at any of that really. He was like, "Oh, you clean toilets at In-N-Out Burger on you got the job on your birthday, on your 16th birthday. That's why I want to hire you." And I was like, "No way." Um, so In-N-Out Burger, I'll shout them out too. Get a job over there at 16 years old, man. That was a
Wow,
cool
that's
deal.
amazing. Hey, dropping gold nuggets right there for the young folk. I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah,
That is
dude.
awesome. But Dylan, man, appreciate your time. Appreciate all the wisdom you instilled, man. It's just such valuable stuff. If anyone wanted to just reach out or follow along with your story, your journey, man, where can they do that?
Yeah, I'm not, I mean, I'm on Instagram, Dylan.Raymond.
Mm.
You can shoot me I think I'm public on there, so you can shoot me a DM or whatever. I try to check stuff as much as I can, but, I'm trying to stay off social media as much as I can, but that stuff's addicting too, bro. That's a time killer.
True,
But,
true.
yeah.
100%. No, I
But
love
man, good to see you too, man. I'm so happy for you and your family and your business and your boys. I mean, just the cutest thing on the planet. And
I appreciate that.
your family's amazing, and your wife's family's amazing. I know they're in town, so I hope you have a blast with them, dude. And um, yeah, thanks for taking time. I
Heck
appreciate it.
yeah. Heck yeah. Dude, it's a pleasure.